Good morning on this Sunday of Thanksgiving week, and it's a time of the year that we remember as a nation, as a country, as a world in a lot of ways to take time out to give thanks to God for all the blessings. And I guess maybe some people don't, give thanks to God. I don't know who they give thanks together to for, but for people that say there is no God. But regardless, as you gather with family today or this week, hopefully you'll be able to get together or with family and friends and to take some time out and just to remember all of the blessings that we have in life. And so often, we focus on negatives and on bads and what we don't have and what we wish we had. And if we were to have I've heard this attitude of gratitude, rhyming words that way, but, to have a thankful heart, is such an important thing. And to be able to count our blessings and look at our blessings and find the joys in life are things that can change our total outlook on life. It's like I commented the other day, three people in the same situation, different attitude makes all the difference in the world. Two people in the same situation, attitude makes a lot of difference in the way you look at things. And so I hope that your week is one that you can focus on your blessings and be content with what you have. This Sunday is the next to last Sunday of the church year. Next Sunday will be Christ the King Sunday, and then first Sunday, December, as I mentioned last week, we begin the season of Advent, looking forward to the birth of the Lord. Our lessons for today, I'm not going to read all of them, but part of them a little bit. The first reading is from Zephaniah chapter 1, and it's verse 7 and then 12 through 18. But this first chapter of Zephaniah, it begins, the word of the Lord that came to Zephaniah, son of Cushi, and so it identifies as this Zephaniah, because there are at least three other Zephaniahs in the Old Testament, but it identifies, who this one is, so it puts it in the specific timing. And the first chapter is about the final judgment of God. And verse 2, I will utterly sweep away everything from the face of the earth, says the Lord. I will sweep away humans and animals. It's total destruction. And then what we're supposed to read today, verse 7, this is still God speaking. Be silent before the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. The Lord has prepared a sacrifice, and he has consecrated his guests. And we go to verse 12. At that time I will search Jerusalem with lamps. I will punish the people who rest complacently on their dregs, and those who say in their hearts, the Lord will do no good, and the Lord will do no harm. And so here, God is saying to the people that you look at me as a complacent God, as a God that's not going to ever do anything. I'm not going to do any good. I'm not going to do any bad. And sometimes in our world too, and we get to that point where, we just don't see God's activity, or the people don't see God's activity, and they think that God is silent, or this is the way they're saying there is no God, because God didn't do just exactly what they thought that God should do. So God says to the people, you're saying the Lord will do no good, the Lord will do no harm. They're saying that God's not going to do anything. Well, maybe he won't do anything today specific toward the end of time, but God is definitely doing something today. There's no question in my mind. And I'm not going to read the rest of the verses. We're supposed to read through to verse 18. I'm going to read the last verse again of Zephaniah 1. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them on the day of the Lord's wrath. In the fire of his passion, the whole earth will be consumed for a full and a terrible end, and he will make a desolation of all of the earth. And so this is the coming judgment of God on Judah, on these Israelites whom he has led out of captivity, whom he has taken care of, that have turned their back on him and said, there is no God. God doesn't care. He's not going to do anything regardless. And so in some ways, when you hear those words, and we hear of that final judgment of God and how it's going to be this total destruction, you can see where there's an image of an angry and a violent God who is, going to wreak out this destruction, and a God that we need to be afraid of. And there are so many places in the Bible that says, fear the Lord. And it isn't, that when it says that, it doesn't really specifically mean to be afraid of him. It means to respect him, hold him in honor and praise. And it's the way that we don't use the word fear much in today's society, but it's a word that, to respect and honor God, not to be afraid of God. And I'm kind of highlighting that image of God because of the gospel reading for today, which is from Matthew chapter 25, beginning at verse 14. And this is Jesus is speaking, 3 parables in this chapter, as I mentioned last Sunday. But this parable is, starts, for it's as if a man going on a journey calls his slaves together and entrusts his property to them. And this parable is told a little bit differently in Luke's gospel. But in this one, he gives 5 talents, enormous sums of money to one slave. He gives 2 talents to another one, and he gives 1 talent to the third one, to each according to his ability, is what the parable says. So the owner who's going away knows the capabilities of his slaves. He knows what they're able to do. He knows what they're able to handle. And it's your friends, right? And your family. You know what they're capable of, what they're able to do. And you don't send a 3-year-old on some job that that they can't do, because their ability. So this slave owner gives to these slaves according to their ability. And we know this parable, hopefully we know the parable, because as the man then goes away, the one that got 5 invests them, does good with them, and earns 5 more, doubles the money. Same with the one that had 2, invests it, doubles the money. The one with 1 talent, he says he feared the Lord. He was afraid of him because he was a harsh man, and he buried it until he would come back so he wouldn't lose in it. He didn't trust himself. He didn't, so when the owner came back, they were called forward. What did you do? And this parable isn't about making money. It's not about making money. It's about using the gifts that God gives us. It's about using the abilities that we have. How often have you said, I can't do that? How often have you said, I can't do that? And I remember going ski trips with many youth events over the years, youth groups over the years. And I remember one particular incident that one of the 7th, 8th grader, most likely in that age group, was a good athlete, this person, and was having trouble learning to ski, falling down, getting disheartened, just angry with himself because this should be easy. I should be able to do this, ready to quit. And over the years, I helped a lot of youth figure out how to keep their skis where they should be and be able to stand up. But as this person was lying on the ground, 1 ski off, 1 pole gone, ready to quit, I looked and I asked this youth, when you shoot a basketball, what what's the thought that you have when you take a shot with a basketball? Well, I'm going to make it. And I said, okay. So you don't think, oh, I'm going to miss when you shoot the ball. No, I think I'm going to make it. And I said, that's the same way you need to have that attitude when you're skiing. You got to think, I can do this. I mean, you stand up, you put your ski tips together. It's called a snowplow. You bend your knees a little bit. You get your weight back. You get your balance in, and you control the skis. You make your legs work that way. And to say to yourself, I can do this, will enable you to do this. If you say to yourself, what's the point of getting up? I'm just going to fall down again. Yep, you're going to fall down again. And even if you say, I can do this, you're going to fall down again. But you're going to be able to try again. It's just like shooting that basketball. If you shot that one shot and you missed, and you said, oh, I can't do it. I'm never going to shoot again. I mean, that would be a terrible waste. And I remember watching that person grow up. I remember watching many basketball games that person played, and the way that person controlled the ball and kind of became the general, or one of the generals on the floor, because he had that attitude, I can make this shot, I can dribble this ball, I can do it. That's what this parable is about. I can do it. To use what we have and to be confident in that we can do it. This slave that buried the talent, buried the money in the ground, so when the owner came back, he could say, here is what was yours, it is still yours, rather than take the risk of losing it or take the opportunity to make more with it. And we all know that when we invest, some investments pay off and some investments don't pay off. But remember what Jesus said, that this person, the owner, gave to each according to his ability. He knew what they were capable of and able to do. And that's a lot of what we need to figure out for ourselves, is our abilities, our capabilities, our talents. And I always think it's interesting that, they called their money, one of their bigger coins, talents. And the talent was a tremendous amount of money. Like I've heard, read as many as 15 years worth of wages in this one talent. That's a lot of money for someone to entrust to another. Even if you only got one, that's a lot that you're entrusted with. But the owner, the person that had the money anyway, I mean, and here it's just a man going on a journey, he entrusted that these slaves of his would take care of it, that would make prosper with it, that they would be able to handle the responsibility. And so often in our lives, though, I really think that we sell ourselves short. Sorry for the break. You just said we were reconnecting, and I'm supposed to have a good signal here in the motel room. Anyway, this person that buried the money, when there's a lot more about that person. I mean, the first two, the owner says, well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I'll put you in charge of many more. So he's going to give him more responsibility, right? So the guy that had 5, the person that had 5, was going to get more responsibility. The person that had 2 was going to get more responsibility. And then you come to the one who says to the man, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you didn't sow, gathering where you didn't scatter seed. So I was afraid. I was afraid of you. So here is what is yours. I was afraid. I wonder how many times did Orville and Wilbur Wright not succeed in flying their airplane? Do you suppose they were afraid of getting up in the air and what might happen if they came crashing down? But think of the change that was made because they weren't afraid to try it. Or with electricity, or with a phone, or with the internal combustion engine. If people were afraid to try new things, or the wheel, you try to roll a square block down the road, doesn't work. But to be afraid. This person was afraid afraid of the master, afraid of God, afraid of failure. Fear can stop an awful lot of things. And it does. It's just like that person that was skiing, was afraid of falling down, was afraid of failing and ready to give up. I don't know if that person still skis or not. Doesn't matter to me. But on the ski slope, that person learned a lesson that day of not giving up, of having a positive attitude, of saying, I can. It's like the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And they got up over the hill and going down this, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could, you know? And that's the attitude we need to have of using the gifts that we have. Some people, boy, I don't have any gifts. I can't do anything. Well, yeah, we can. You know, some people have the gift of being able to play a piano, a guitar, a horn. Some people have a gift of being able to grow great crops, do well on their marketing. Some people have a gift of vision of new things. Some people have a gift of working with children, being a teacher. Some people have a gift of working with people who are maybe less able than we are. But each of us has a gift. There is nobody that can honestly say, I can't do anything, you know, because we all have gifts, we all have talents, we all have skills that we can use. But it takes some time sometimes to find those gifts and to be willing to step out and to try. And this person in this parable that was given just the one talent, and again, a tremendous amount of money. You know, we say it's just one, you know, well, one is, if it was one denarius, that'd be like one day's work, but one talent was, as I mentioned, you know, 15 years worth of work. That's a big responsibility, a big gift. And so, doesn't matter how big a gift we have, how small a gift we have. What matters is what we do with the gift. Hopefully you've been able to figure out your gift. For some it's, you know, to be a mom, to be a dad. There's so many things that we do that impact others in our lives. Make donuts, you know. Everybody loves mom's donuts or whatever it may be. You know, we have those things and we cultivate them. And when we find our gift, when we find our niche in life, when we find what we're good at being able to share with others, we need to use that gift. That's the message of this parable. To use the gift, to use it wisely, to realize what we have, and to know mostly that if and when we fail, all we got to do is start over again. So on this Thanksgiving week, I invite you, I encourage you to think about what gifts you have been given and how you've shared those gifts throughout your lives. Who is it in this world that you have helped shape to become who they are? And to always know that this vision that we have in Zephaniah of this God who's going to wreak total destruction, that's not the God that we worship. It's not the God that we know. The God that we worship, the God we know, is the God of second chances, the God of do-overs, the God of mulligans on the golf course. You hit one off in the woods, oh, don't worry about that one. Hit another one. Take a mulligan. Get a do-over. It's never too late to start anew. It's never too late to find another gift or to work on a gift. Something that, man, I wish I've always done that. I wish I knew how to do this. It's never too late to start. Never too late to find a new gift or to share that gift. The worst thing we can do is to say, I can't do it. I have no skills. I'm no good. No, that's not true. We all have gifts, and we all have something that we can share with others. If it's nothing more than a smile, that's a start. May God richly bless you this week, as he always does. And may you indeed have a blessed and thankful week of Thanksgiving.